Hey Sinners, it's Colleen Luckett, or the Abortionfluencer, and now regular contributor to the Voice of Reason podcast. And I'm here with the good, the bad, and the ugly of reproductive freedom, or a lack thereof, in this country. So let's get started with the ugly first. So what we all really needed was a GOP-backed bill that does the opposite of honoring our military service members, right? You know, like cutting off abortion access. So back on June 14th, the House Republicans decided that the latest iteration of the National Defense Authorization Act, which is supposed to be about, I don't know, national defense maybe, was the perfect place to continue their war on reproductive rights by sneaking a provision to stop the Pentagon from paying for travel expenses for any service member who wants to get an abortion. Just to note that this provision was put in place by the Biden administration after the Dobbs decision. So the bill passed 217 to 199, right down party lines, mostly down party lines. If you check out the graphic here, those of you in Texas, North Carolina, Washington, Maine, and Arkansas might want to get on the horn there. So anyway, meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Tammy Duckworth are already calling this bill DOA. They're not going to let these divisive amendments see the light of day in the Senate. So once again, we get to watch our elected officials play political football with our rights instead of doing their job like, housing the unhoused or taxing billionaires or something like that. So take a look at these graphics. I made a post a while back on Instagram about these unintended consequences of abortion bans. Well, the Republicans probably know and don't care, but the rest of us may not have thought of some of these. Well, this one in particular, if the military bans abortion, what do you think it's going to do to recruitment numbers? They're going to go down. That's right. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but recruitment for military service in the United States is already down, and women are filling that gap. They're over about 20% of the military now. So they are going to stop signing up for the military, just like our, medical students are not going to red states for their residencies. So abortion bans in the military don't just affect those people in the military, it could affect our safety, our national defense. So just keep that in mind, all of these unintended consequences. Now let's move on to the bad. First of all, let me give you a little disclaimer here. Mifepristone, if you haven't heard that word in the news lately, you might be living under a rock. It is one of the medicines used in a medical abortion. And it has been deemed incredibly safe. It has been researched over and over, and there's a 99% efficacy and safety rate. So whenever you hear a disingenuous politician tell you that they're wanting to get rid of mifepristone because of women's safety, it's a lie. I know, it's shocking, right? There was a big lawsuit up in front of SCOTUS a couple weeks ago about mifepristone. Well, the Supreme Court ruled that it was dead on arrival, just like that National Defense Act in the Senate. And they said that the plaintiffs did not have legal standing to move on with the suit. So just note, this wasn't, the Supreme Court justices going, yay, mifepristone. No, this was just a kind of a technicality because the plaintiffs were literally trying to claim that their anti-abortion OBGYNs would be harmed by, the existence of mifepristone in the world because they don't actually prescribe mifepristone to their patients because they're anti-abortion, right? So SCOTUS's decision actually left a door open for more challenges, including from red states with Trump-appointed judges, of course. So don't get too comfortable. The decision undoubtedly ties the future of mifepristone to the 2024 presidential election. And in fact, the forced birth lobby, they're already scheming to restrict access. So my very favorite Christian nationalist kiddie indoctrination cult, Students for Life, they want the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, to classify mifepristone as a forever chemical for stricter regulation. This is preposterous on so many levels, but mainly Unlike hazardous forever chemicals, mifepristone actually degrades and it doesn't persist in the environment. And so it makes that classification just scientifically unfounded and misleading. Right. So the Biden campaign also reminds us that Trump doesn't need Congress or the courts to ban abortion or chip away at abortion. Now, note that if they try for a nationwide abortion ban, it will have numerous legal challenges, just like if Biden tried to right now defy the Dobbs decision by sending abortion decision back to federal regulation. But Republicans and Trump can certainly chip away and make abortion even harder to access. So we've been talking about Project 2025 a lot. He wants to put loyalists in the FDA and the Department of Health and Human Services. Those loyalists can do a lot of damage. Now, if Biden wins the presidential election, the path forward will be slower for anti-abortion zealots, but even then, they are confident they can still win through all of these legal battles and challenges. So the fight is far from over, but the next administration, we know that for sure, will play a crucial role in the future fate of mifepristone. So a few other things to keep in mind about mifepristone in the mifepristone world going forward. Louisiana just recently classified mifepristone and misoprostol, which is the other drug in medical abortion, as class 4 controlled substances, which of course further restricts access for people in Louisiana. But other states, of course, may follow. So keep an eye on your state, see if that's going on there. Another thing is Christian nationalist far-right groups, they aim to resurrect the Comstock Act. Now, if you haven't heard about this, this is the 1873 anti-vice law that would ban the U.S. Postal Service from sending abortion pills through the mail. These far-right groups are the ones convincing Trump to resurrect this zombie. Keep an eye on that story. And potential good news, my little sliver of good news, there's still that pending case by the state AGs led by Washington. It seeks to remove FDA restrictions, all FDA restrictions on mifepristone going forward. The Ninth Circuit Court will likely rule on that pretty soon. So keep your eye on that one. For now, Americans, you all have access. Every state, 50 states, is legal, it is accessible. Here are a couple of ways you can get it. Aid Access and Plan C pills. Stock up. You do not have to be pregnant to get the abortion pills. So the fight is far from over as these zealots, these anti-abortion zealots, continue to push for further restrictions on the abortion pill. You know, wouldn't it be great if these pro-lifers would have this much diligence with, gun violence, gun control, the leading cause of death for children in the United States? Call me crazy. All right, let's get to the good. Yeah, who am I kidding? There's no good this week. Sorry about that. So speaking of the election, because it's not enough to leave abortion to the states, that was a lie too. So the forced birth lobby is making a big play to thwart local citizen initiatives on reproductive rights. In states where the majority of voters support reproductive rights, forced birther scumbags are pushing for changes to the rules governing ballot initiatives. So their goal is to make it harder for these citizen-led efforts to make it on the ballot or require a supermajority to pass. So check out this graphic. This was something I posted a while back on my Instagram as well. Check out my Instagram. There was a campaign in Missouri a while ago. It was called Decline to Sign. It was led by this coalition of ding-dong anti-abortion groups like Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America. They put out fake texts to Missouri voters with this fear-mongering claim that the people trying to get signatures for the ballot initiative were actually out-of-state bad actors trying to steal Missourians' data. So they are going dirty. They are lying. If you see any of this stuff going on, call it out. Get it out there. They are liars, and we need everyone to see through it. You have to ask yourself, guys, side note, if you have to lie and cheat to get your way, maybe your way is not the best way. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but so other examples of anti-abortion groups meddling in the voting process include proposals for a sneaky, snaky tactic in good old Missouri again and Ohio to undermine the will of the people by raising the threshold for passing constitutional amendments to 60% instead of a simple majority, so that supermajority. Repro freedom advocates are fighting actively. They're fighting these changes. They're emphasizing the importance of direct democracy and, the ability of citizens to have their voices heard, like a democracy would. While other states like Arkansas and what makes up what I like to call the North-South Dakota-stopia, they're also considering similar changes to make it harder for citizens to pass these reproductive rights measures through ballot initiatives. Is there any question anymore that the GOP has absolutely no interest in fairness and democracy, in anything that has to do with the truth? I mean, please get out to vote in your state. Local elections matter, okay? Please. So there you have it, guys. We've covered the ugly, the bad, and the good. Well, yeah, bad and the bad and the bad. Who am I kidding? It's all pretty bad right now, isn't it? It's a lot to digest, but stay tuned. And maybe you won't have to keep up with it as much. You can come listen to me on the Voice of Reason podcast. For now, check out the caption. Mike and Jeremy have graciously put links to the sources for the stories I covered today. Thank you again for tuning into this special Bobo Rights contribution to the Voice of Reason podcast. I'm Colleen Luckett, the Abortionfluencer, reminding you to stay alert, stay fierce, and above all, sinners, keep raising hell. Thank you.